There was a time when the world knew only darkness and wind. The earth was cold, its forests hushed, and the stars, countless, watching in silence. In that age, before cities and words, humanity lived as part of the night itself. They were wanderers beneath the vast sky, their hearts beating in rhythm with the slow pulse of the earth. But in that endless dark, something began to stir. A question, faint and fragile, yet unstoppable. It was not hunger nor fear. It was awareness, a spark within the mind, like the first ember that glows before flame. Humanity was about to awaken. For countless generations, our ancestors watched the world through shadows. They knew the rustle of the wind, the cry of beasts, the gleam of eyes in the dark. They lived close to the edge of the unknown, every night a test of endurance, every dawn a fragile victory. They feared the cold most of all. Cold crept into bone, into breath, into spirit. To survive was to move, to gather, to huddle together, one heartbeat against the night. And yet, even in their fear, they sensed something sacred in the darkness. The night was not only an enemy, it was also a teacher. Then came the moment, perhaps by lightning striking a dry tree, or by friction between stones, or perhaps by the hands of a single nameless human, patient and persistent. Fire was born. For the first time, light did not come from the sky. It came from human hands. The flame flickered, fragile, golden, alive. It danced and breathed like a creature, both beautiful and dangerous. And those who gathered around it felt something new, wonder. They did not yet have words for fire or for soul. But as the warmth touched their faces and the shadows retreated, they saw themselves, truly saw themselves, for the first time. They built circles of stone, small sanctuaries where the flame could live. They guarded it through the night, fed it with dry wood and breath. It became their companion, their guardian, their heart. Fire changed everything. It offered warmth, safety, and light, but also reflection. Around the fire, humans learned to sit still. They began to remember, to dream, to tell stories. Perhaps that was the true birth of humanity, not when we made fire, but when we gathered around it to share meaning. The flame became a mirror, showing not the world, but the inner world, the birth of thought, of memory, of myth. As generations passed, the flame became sacred. It was the symbol of continuity, the living thread between the living and the dead. Some believed fire was a gift from the gods. Others thought it was stolen, like the tale of Prometheus that would come much later. But before myths were written, there was only the silent awe of those first fires, the understanding that this light was not merely heat, but spirit. They began to see themselves not as beasts that feared the dark, but as beings who could create light. And in that moment, humanity changed forever. The world, once endless and cold, suddenly had a center, a small, trembling fire, surrounded by faces filled with wonder. Around the fire, the world seemed to hold its breath. The crackling flames whispered secrets older than memory, and the smoke spiraled upwards like silent prayers to an unseen sky. Here, in this fragile circle of light, humanity began to ask its first questions. Who are we? Why are we here? What lies beyond the darkness? The fire gave more than warmth. It gave perspective. It revealed the night in layers, shadows folding into shadows, and it reflected the flicker of thoughts in the human mind. Stories began to weave themselves through the flames, tales of the hunt, of the stars, of ancestors who walked before. These stories shaped the soul of humanity, carving meaning from the raw edges of existence. As firelight danced upon faces and stones, humans saw their own shadows come alive. Those flickering silhouettes became companions and mysteries alike. In the play of light and dark, they glimpsed the balance of life itself. Light without shadow is nothing. Shadow gives light its shape. The fire taught patience, waiting for sparks to catch, for warmth to spread. It taught reverence, the need to protect what is precious and fragile. It taught the rhythm of life, rise and fall, flame and ash. This dance between light and dark became a mirror for the human spirit. To live was to balance the known and the unknown, the seen and the hidden. With time, fire became more than a tool. It became a symbol, a sacred flame burning within the human heart. In countless cultures, fire was worshipped as the breath of the gods, a divine spark that connected earth and sky, life and death. It was the eternal flame, the unbroken thread through generations, a reminder that life endures beyond the fleeting moment. Around sacred fires, rituals were born, songs were sung, and wisdom was passed. Fire held the past and the future in its glowing hands. But fire did something even deeper. It gathered people. Around its warmth, the solitary became a tribe. In the glow of the firelight, bonds were forged stronger than steel. Trust grew like slow flames, weaving threads of belonging and purpose. The night no longer meant isolation, it became a time of unity. Around fire, humans found not only survival, but a reason to come together, to share dreams and fears, hopes and stories. So, the fire was more than an element. It was the dawn of consciousness itself, a light in the dark corners of the mind. It was the moment when humans stopped merely reacting to the world and began to reflect upon it, to shape it, to dream beyond it. The first fire was the first step toward culture, philosophy, and myth. It was the spark that ignited the flame of civilization. And still today, when we light a fire, there is something ancient awakening within us. A connection to those first nights by the glowing hearth, to the wonder and mystery of becoming human. The fire within us burns still, quiet, steady, eternal. Beneath the vast dome of stars, the firelight flickered like a tiny sun. Our ancestors looked up at the endless sky, tracing constellations that told stories older than any tongue. The fire and the stars, two lights, one earthly, one celestial, both guides for the human soul on its journey through the dark. In the quiet between sparks, they felt the pulse of time itself, the slow turning of seasons, the endless dance of birth and decay. Here, beneath both fires, the one on earth and the one above, humans first felt the vastness of existence. They understood their smallness and their connection to the whole. Around the fire, imagination took flight. The night became a canvas for tales woven from dreams and fears, hopes and mysteries. Myths were born, stories to explain the unexplainable, to give shape to the formless, voice to the silent. They spoke of gods who kindled fire, of heroes who bridged worlds, of ancestors who watched from beyond the stars. These stories were more than entertainment. They were the first philosophy, a way to understand the world and our place within it. In them, the fire was a sacred thread, weaving the human experience together. Fire changed not only how humans lived, but how they thought. It lengthened the day, turning night into time for reflection and creation. Around the flame, songs were sung, dances performed, art created. The flickering light revealed colors unseen in daylight, and shadows gave life to shapes born of imagination. Fire was the hearth of culture, a crucible where raw experience melted and was shaped into meaning, tradition, and identity. It was the spark that ignited language, memory, and community. From fire, humans learned patience, how to nurture and protect something fragile. They learned balance, the delicate dance between destruction and creation. They learned respect for nature's power and for their own limits. The fire was a teacher, its lessons etched into human spirit. In its glow, they found the first glimpse of wisdom, not from books or gods, but from living with the world itself. The first fire was a beacon, a light in the darkness that illuminated not only the night, but the path forward for humanity. It was the beginning of a journey that would lead to cities, to art, to thought itself. Yet at its heart was something simple and profound, the warmth shared between human beings, the spark of curiosity that refuses to be extinguished. The first fire was the first story, a story still being told in every flicker of flame. The fire that once flickered in the hands of our ancestors has traveled through time, a silent witness to our journey. It shaped our tools, our homes, our very language. It taught us to cook, to craft, to gather in community. But beyond its practical gifts, fire left us with something far greater, the gift of consciousness, the ability to reflect upon ourselves and the world. Even now, deep inside us, the first fire still burns. It is the spark of curiosity that drives us to explore, to create, to understand. The fire within is the restless light of the mind, the endless search for meaning in the vastness of existence. It is the heart of storytelling, philosophy, and wonder. Around every fire, across every culture and every age, humanity gathers to remember who we are. We share stories, dreams, fears, weaving the fabric of our shared humanity. The flame connects us, a timeless thread stretching back to those first nights. No matter how far we journey from that ancient hearth, we carry the fire inside us, a circle that never ends. So when you see a flicker of flame tonight, remember the long journey it represents. A journey from darkness to light, from silence to voice, from solitude to community. The fire is a quiet promise that even in the darkest night, there is a light we carry within, guiding us home. This is the story of the first fire, not just a spark in the night, but the awakening of humanity itself. May we honor that light and carry its warmth in our hearts, always.